Good afternoon and welcome to ZTN News Blitz. Let's look at our top stories. Small enterprises in Zimbabwe reject bond notes. COVID-19 shuts down Victoria Falls. An estimated 1 in 3 Pakistan pilots have fake licenses. And sport, tribute to late Dynamo's assistant coach Biggie Zuze. Informal traders in Zimbabwe are now rejecting bond notes in the form of $2 and $5 notes as well as coins. ZTN spoke to some traders at fresh produce markets and cash shops that specialize in groceries, most of them who were rejecting $2 and $5 bond notes. The traders blame suppliers who they accuse of rejecting them, preferring forex which they get on the black market.
Kana kombi chaiko rutonzi mapondo $5 akanzi mabhonda achaita se achatenge twadaita kumusika kwatechitenga kana kumaveji chichi vakutoti hachaiti ko vakaita vamwe vari kuchaja double price vari kutora mabhonda aya vari kuchaja double price kuti kana chiri chinhu che5 panenge vakuchiti 10
tone jumba yemabhondi nosi izvozvizvi but havasi kuda vanhu vakutengesa misika yavo havasi kuda mabond notes zvimisika zvino everything zvandi kuda zvese zvinonzi mabond notes asi kutambira
kuti unotenga maveji unotenga madomasi havasi kutomboda mari kana ukatoenda mumatakshop ndo vakatanga kutora mari ichisi
kwatinohodha kwacho havachabvunyi mari yacho saka hapasina inenge tisina option yekuti nditambire mari ndikaitambira inezi ndenda kutofoswa kuti ndisaida kubhengi kana kuisa kumba but mari ndichida kutenderera kuti zviitewo zviri
Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers President Denford Mutachu says it was caused by some confusion in the market earlier.
There was a huge outcry across the country, whereas some have been insisting on payment on US dollars, South African rand, as well as Botswana pula only, and rejecting the local currency. So we believe we are currently on the right direction because we are working with all the structures across the country, including the law enforcement agencies, to ensure that the matter is resolved.
But the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe still insists that the notes and coins remain legal tender. The COVID-19 pandemic has claimed 6 Zimbabwean lives while 551 people are fighting the disease. Many lives have been altered, but for businesses in Zimbabwe's main tourism resort, Victoria Falls, life has turned for the worst. The resort town, which attracts thousands of tourists annually, has not been spared. Revenue continues to be lost since borders are sealed. The mighty Mosi Oatunya, which is usually a hive of activity, is deserted. Even animal conservancies close to the majestic falls shut doors too. Traders who sell wares along the streets of Victoria Falls have since vanished. ZTN's sharp lenses caught some of the affected entrepreneurs in the resort town who shared their grief.
Oh, the impact was very big actually. Now we are going for 3 months without tourists, so there is no income at the moment.
We are just grounded, sir. As you have heard that all the flights coming to this place, all the airports, all locked when we're also at home. So there's nothing we can do now. Things are going up every day. All the shops, we can go and see. We cannot even afford. All the money that we had is now finished. So we don't know what is going to happen in the future. And we have families to look after, and they are looking upon us as men to provide. And I wonder what we are going to do.
Yeah, okwakatesi civil yamakurios savala nje as from kuvalwa iqala ukwenza lockdown qala ukugqoka ama-mask up to today vela angikwazi ukukhuluma lekhiwa but besingabantu esiphila lamakhiwa sidensela amakhiwa angisebenzi imuli yami ngakade sam 42 years imuli yami iphila ngakhona lokho ngibe umuntu ozenzela imisebenzi waphezana but for now I'm suffering with my family.
Still in the resort town, motorists in Zimbabwe have been grappling with fuel shortages for the past 2 years or so. Filling one's tank is a heroic task, and at the worst, one can spend nights in a fuel queue. Government has blamed the shortages on arbitrage in the fuel sector, while some analysts have pointed to the pricing system. A few days ago, the price of fuel went up by 150%, and although motorists are feeling the pinch of the price hikes, they hope the price review will bring some respite. ZTN's Takuzo Chihambakwe caught up with one motorist, Arnold Maposa, in the resort town of Victoria Falls to have a peek into a typical day of a motorist in Zimbabwe.
As a matter of fact, to maybe affordability inenge yakuitika pa ma customers efuel vamwe vacho inenge yava challenge to understand that like yesterday the fuel it was on about $73, then we were on the queue, then everyone was stopped to move, and the guys were saying an increase in fuel.
With tourism, which is the major driver of the town's economy, on shutdown, life has become unbearable for Maposa and his colleagues. He says that the fuel price increases are making it even worse.
I can say 65% of Wangwachi Shana now they are not going to work. So it's being a disadvantage. We are now self-employed.
After 45 minutes of waiting in the queue, Maposa finally got his fuel, but he was not satisfied.
They reduced the amount of fuel to be taken by one customer, like from unlimited to 20 liters per car. So it becomes a challenge now because it seems like there's now a shortfall again of fuel.
Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer. In seasons of distress and grief, my soul often finds that relief. So goes the old Christian hymn. Nyanadzai Machote, a self-proclaimed prophet from the Joani Masowe Apostolic sect, has a sweet hour of prayer every day in Harare Central Business District. For the past 2 weeks, Machote has been holding prayer sessions at the Africa Unity Square at 3 p.m. Central African Time. The spectacle has not escaped the curious eyes of passers-by, and Machote claims to have been sent by God to deliver Zimbabwe from its challenges, chief amongst them the COVID-19 pandemic.
Ndauya mukati merinoguta kuti ndigone kudai nekunodzikinura icho chamira kumabvira nezuva chingadai kuda kunoparadza rudzi rwevanhu vatema ndichiti kwazivai mhuri yeZimbabwe sanganai nini ndakasununguka handibhadharisi ndakatopiwa chipo changu nababa kudhara handina pfuma yandinoda kune vanhu uyai musunungurwe pachena.
The United States government says it has committed $1.3 million United States dollars towards assisting Zimbabwean citizens who are returning home from different parts of the world due to the COVID-19. To date, almost 10,000 Zimbabweans have returned home after being affected by the pandemic. Returning citizens are required to undergo quarantine for 21 days before they can proceed home. U.S. Ambassador to Zimbabwe Brian Nichols speaks to ZTN.
As you know, we've already contributed $18 million for COVID-19 relief, and we'll be providing another $1.3 million going to the International Organization for Migration, and that will be directed to assist returning migrants who are going through the quarantine process. We're waiting for the IOM to provide us with their specific project details, and once we have that, we can implement the project. The money can be available within a week or so. We just need to get the project details from IOM. I know they're seized with it.
Zimbabwe continues to lose potential revenue from gold due to leakages, and government says it will roll out measures to plug the outflows. Gold deliveries have slumped 12% in the first quarter of this year, and Finance Minister Professor Mthuli has attributed this to leakages of the mineral. Zimbabwe is pursuing a $12 billion United States dollar mining industry economy by 2023, with the gold sector expected to contribute a minimum of $4 billion United States dollars. Professor Mthuli told miners in Zimbabwe's Matabeleland North Province that measures are being put in place to grow the country's export receipts from gold.
What is of concern for us, of course, is that in the first quarter of 2020, 6.2 tons were delivered, metric tons were delivered, which is 12% lower than the same period last year. But again, we attribute this to the issue of leakages and the retention ratio, which has since been revised upwards. So we should be able to correct that going forward. It is therefore my plea that we work together, producers, government, to address, and investors who are here, to address issues affecting the sector so that we grow our export receipts from this God-given mineral.
Former Burundi President Pierre Nkurunziza, who led for nearly 15 years, will be buried on Friday in the capital, Gitega. The government said he died of cardiac arrest almost 2 weeks ago. He was expected to officially hand over power to his successor, who won the elections held in May. He was destined to be crowned the supreme leader of patriotism. The government has urged the public to be on the roadsides and give respect as his hearse travels from Karusi Hospital, where he died, to Gitega's stadium for the last honours. More than 30% of civilian pilots in Pakistan have fake licenses and are not qualified to fly, the country's aviation minister revealed on Wednesday. Addressing Pakistan's National Assembly, Ghulam Sawa Khan said 262 pilots in the country did not take the exams themselves and had paid someone else to sit it on their behalf. Pakistan has 860 active pilots serving its domestic airlines, including the country's Pakistan International Airlines PIA flagship, as well as a number of foreign carriers. The PIA has grounded all its pilots who hold fake licenses effective immediately. On to sports, and starting on a sad note, Dynamo's assistant coach Biggie Zuze, who died in Harare yesterday, has been described as a great player and coach. Zuze, who was 55, is said to have complained of breathing difficulties in the morning before being rushed to a high-gland center in the capital. He later died in the afternoon. Zambian-based the Warriors defender Jimmy Zingai played under Zuze at Triangle.
It was 2015 ku Triangle. He was like my father. Ndatonange ndiri kukoshwa nababa vangu chacho, baba vokundibereka. Muno kuti even chero pane zvada kuinstalla maplayers ake, asapa maplayers ake pressure, muno kuti aitaura newo zvakanaka kuti itaso. At one time munhu akatondiudzawo akati Jimmy une potential yekuzoita zvakadai so nebhora iri, keep on working hard. This hard working pays. Munhu achitaura neni nyaya achitondiudza zvokuita kuti itaso, besides even nyaya dzebhora kana zveupenyu aitidzidzisawo kuti so upenyu hunoitwa so. Aitoti sababa aitongori mubereki wangu.
Thousands of Liverpool fans gathered at Anfield to celebrate the club's first Premier League title in 30 years, ignoring social distancing. Now, supporters set off flares and fireworks after Chelsea's 2-1 win against Manchester City gave the Reds their first league title in 30 years. The BBC reports that within half an hour, the results, about 2,000 fans had gathered outside the club's stadium. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, Liverpool fans refusing to walk alone. I, for one, was not walking alone this afternoon. On behalf of the ZTN crew behind the scenes, thanks for choosing us and thank you for watching. Good afternoon.